Along with that, we've been joined by geopolitical analyst Raja Faisal, and on Skype we've been joined by Farshidbagherian, Iranian journalist, and Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, former ambassador. I'd like to thank you all for your time and being part of the conversation. Starting off with Mr. Farshid, the situation in the Middle East, the volatility, the sensitivity that we're seeing at the moment, there's heightened tensions, the United Nations Security Council, and this recent escalation. Of course, there was confrontation going on with the Iranian officials. There were statements from the Iranian side, from the Israeli side. But what we've seen with regards to the United Nations Secretary General as well, how do you comment on the escalation and the volatility of the situation in the Middle East?
Thank you very much for the invitation. First of all, my regards to Mr. Jamil Khan and the other invitees in the studio. Let me share the latest news with you that Mr. Biden, 3 minutes before, announced that he will not support, he means the United States will not support any airstrike by Israel to Iranian nuclear infrastructure. This is the most important point that from last night till now is happened, because just now the United States is not supporting any war and is not trying to devastating this war or spreading over this war in the Middle East. This is a very important point. It means that we are seeing that Israel itself is getting de-isolated. Last night, something happened very important. The Muslim world, the Muslim community, and the Christian community came together. Maybe this is not somehow nobody announced it, but really French, France, Belgium, even Pope, a Catholic Pope, supported Iran missile attack, because right now the situation is Lebanon, is not Gaza, because they know that they don't care about the Muslim, but they care about the Christians in the Lebanon. Let's talk about your question. The situation in Iran is from the 7th of October of last year it has no intention to spread over the war. And Iran with rationalism and government state behavior trying to keep this war as a regional or smaller than regional. But the only actor in this world that needs war to survive is Israel itself. And it's better to say that Netanyahu and his administration and nobody else. Look at the quotes last night made by the Mr. Netanyahu. We will get the Middle East in the fire. We will put the Middle East in the fire all around the Middle East. But nothing happened. You know what? Because the American power, military power, didn't give any permission to the Israel to fly the F-35 plane. This is very important. Israel is getting de-isolated, and Iran knows that. Pakistan knows that. If the Muslim community right now supporting themselves with Christian community right now, we can force the Israel to sit on the table, but unfortunately Israel is not the actor that hear any norm and any laws, and his behavior is just mass murdering and genocide. Thank you very much. It's enough because Mr. Jamil Khan is waiting for. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question regarding what you
were
saying.
I
understand that when Hamas's head was killed in Iran, and then of course Hezbollah's leadership was also assassinated, there was going to be some kind of a response. But one would have actually expected that the way those attacks were conducted by Israel were cloak and dagger, so the response will also be something of the similar sort. But we saw this barrage of missiles that were launched, which missed to hit anything. What do you think Iran achieved out of this?
Let me clear something, because the level of analysis of any government is different to me, because I'm a person, I'm an analyst. But the way of reading the situations and reading the events by government is different. Our government decided that to blame the Israel and Mossad, that the actor of the assassination of Mr. Haniyeh in Tehran, for example. And Mr. Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah in Lebanon. I believe that Israel and Mossad, without American support and without MI6 support, is nothing. Believe me, is nothing. Because, look, please get back some 2 weeks before. Mr. Netanyahu and his cabinet was about to be resolved. But right now, Mr. Netanyahu is the hero for Israel. But until last night, was the hero. What happened? It was the American counterintelligence support, because the pager blast, the radio blast was not made by Mossad. It's just planned before, many months before, maybe many years before Americans. And this is the main fact between me and the other, I mean, the government and maybe you. Mossad is not totally is the supporter for the Ismail Haniyeh and Mr. Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah assassination. But Israel is trying it's switching the mass murder and the genocide to assassination. And this is better for Israel, because Israel can maybe by the support of even Elon Musk, by supporting by the United States, but MI6 and many other counterintelligence organizations in the United States, maybe they can more assassination in all around the Middle East. This is right now the change of doctrine, because Mr. Netanyahu said that operation named that New Order. New Order, you know, this phrase is not belong to Mr. Netanyahu, it belonged to Francis Bacon back to 16th century. And Mr. Reagan, first Mr. Reagan used it, and after that, Bush father. And right now, Mr. Reagan is copy this phrase. Where is New Order? In this New Order, there is no Israel, by means of me, by my opinion. There is no Israel in the New Order. So maybe our government blamed Mossad and Israel for this assassination, but I'm, as an analyst, I'm not blaming totally Israel and the American-backed and MI6-backed operation. Thank you.
Right, with regards to that, I'd like to include comments from Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan as well. So, as we know, with this escalation, we've seen a polarization in the global order. Of course, there's allies, there's Israel's allies that stand by it, but we're seeing that there's the other world community that is standing by the Palestinian people, the people that are being oppressed, and there's call for peace and a de-escalation to the conflict. But of course, we're seeing regarding that as well, Israel and its allies, they're very ignorant towards all these calls and towards the support that the oppressed people have. How do you comment on the polarization that the world is facing with regards to this escalation? And
Dr. Jamil, you can also talk about what options Iran is left with when, of course, we know that their sovereignty was, of course, challenged by Israel. And very recently, we saw that Hamas leader, who happened to be the guest of Iranian government, and he was murdered in Iran. After that, what options they were left with?
Obviously there was no option, and that has clearly been enumerated and mentioned by the permanent representative of Iran and even the president of Iran, that Iran tried to show its restraint as much as possible, but Iran had reserved the right, once Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated by using the intelligence component of Mossad and others. That was a clear attack on the sovereignty, which is in violation of the United Nations Charter Chapter 1. And then the member countries have the right to retaliate in their self-defense, and that is Article 51. That has also been quoted by the Iranian permanent representative while addressing the Security Council. So that is quite, I think there was no that Iran did not have the right of self-defense. As a matter of fact, Iran had shown one of the topmost diplomacy that
Dr. Jamil, Dr. Jamil, we're having trouble hearing your voice. If we'll try to reconnect with you, and of course, with regards to that, as we were talking about this development and this escalation, Raja Faisal, I'd like your views when we talk about how, as you also mentioned, Iran having the right to defend against Israel, and we also saw Israel earlier. They had attacked Iran's consul general in Syria as well. With regard to that, do you think Iran having the right to defend itself, because an attack on a consul general is an attack on that country itself?
Of course, Rafi, when we talk about Iran's state guest, obviously Hamas leader was state guest for Iran, and it was a huge embarrassment when actually he was eliminated by Israel within the territory of Iran. And I think Iran at that time reserved the right to respond, and this is the only way they could respond through. If somebody thinks that, oh, why didn't they go, they sent the ground forces, or they sent somebody else to, of course, eliminate their leadership. Maybe the opposite side, the Israeli side, is more efficient in sort of taking care of their stakes when it comes to, of course, war times. They are literally already prepared, and both of the countries, they are not neighbors in terms that their borders are not connecting each other. So rather than getting into Mediterranean, where American warships are already sitting, I think it was the only option that Iran had to apply. They had the ballistics, they had the rockets, they had the these drones. They applied all of them, and they did their own thing because they believe that some sort of response was needed, and they delivered it. And by the way, there are reports, though it is being of course negated by the White House spokesperson, but there are reports that they had obviously sent a message to not only US or they had sent a message to Russians as well regarding this, that they had this plan and they are going to attack obviously with their ballistics over Israel, and that is the right they had reserved, and they have utilized it. To me, more important is that now when everybody is of course looking at Middle East, and they are expecting, even we were getting a statement from UN Secretary General as well, Antonio Guterres. His statement itself, it says that of course everyone need to negotiate peace now, come on the table and talk peace. But we should not be forgetting that this message of peace, it already came from all of the neighboring countries of Israel. It is the Israel and Netanyahu that does not believe in peace, because he has too much of confidence, and that confidence is just because of US backing. And we know that US is sitting in Mediterranean, US is sitting elsewhere around, surrounding all of these countries. Knowing this, that is the US is already there, Netanyahu is actually utilizing that support from US to of course keep on applying its nefarious design, and that is of course to use force, and that force is too bigger. And we have seen that they have already killed more than 45,000 Gazans, and that is termed as a genocide. That is why ICC came up with a verdict in which they have declared that of course Netanyahu is to be considered as a criminal, and he is a criminal, and that genocide has not only been obviously recognized by the Muslim world, but if we talk about Spain, if we talk about France, if we talk about many other sane countries from within Europe, including Ireland, they have time and again said that this madness, this genocide must end, and they are not standing with Israel. And now is the time when I think Israel, US and Britain, they have to, of course, rethink about it, how to disassociate from Netanyahu and his Zionist team, that is applying that, madness in the Middle East and Gaza, and if we talk about the same forces being applied on Lebanon as well, that needs to be stopped. And the only way they can stop it through is that the Western powers, they should come up with these statements that if this is the design that Netanyahu is having, we are not standing with Netanyahu, and Netanyahu must stop and ceasefire must be applied, and he needs to sit down and talk with all of the stakeholders, including Iran.
Definitely, of course, very important points raised here, and I'd like to include Farooq's comments as well in the conversation. But before that, we'll move towards Mr. Farshid. When we talk about how there's Israel's allies that are supporting them, and of course, there's the US, there's France, there's Britain, but we've also seen that the UNSC that was called recently, that is happening underway, was requested by France itself. And we've also seen that the European countries, they have spoken against Israel, against its actions, against the hegemonic designs of it. And of course, one of the biggest strategic allies of Israel itself being the United States, they're the champions of human rights. And of course, when its ally is committing genocide, ethnic cleansing, and of course, there's repeated calls by the international community, do you think there's a responsibility on Israel's allies itself, and how they can disassociate themselves from what is happening, the hegemonic and hegemonic designs of Israel, because they pose a threat to the posture that these countries have been also posing?
Thank you very much. Anthony Giddens has a theory that they call it ontological security. This is a kind of disease that Israel is suffering from. This disease, Israel see everything in the world as enemy, nothing else. Believe me, nothing else. But you know, substantially, the relationship, the relationship between Iran and Israel is something based on the theological policy. But the fact is, right now, they are using different concepts and reconceptualizing the human meaning. Because what is the difference between the child in Gaza and the child in Beverly Hills? There is no, because the God created them as a unit, but they are trying to make a difference between this kind of two kind of, for example, mankind. This is the problem with the world, and this is, we call it ontological security. The fact is, right now, many countries, many states supported Israel, and Israel with this supported could make this genocide, this mass murder, this mass punishment. But right now, we can see that this support is declining. Just now, America was saying, Mr. Biden is saying that we are not supporting you, for example, for nuclear attack. Iranian infrastructure, we are not be with you. This is very important point. It means that you can, for example, make attack to the refineries or maybe to petroleum infrastructure. It means that maybe you can withdraw this message from a hidden message from this sentence. But the support is declining because of the world has feared that maybe this ontological security disease maybe somehow is switched to their country, even France, even Belgium, even Germany right now. Germany is the first, first supporter for the, Israel right now. The refugees came to Germany right now. For being the German citizenship, they have make oath that they recognize Israel as a government, as a state. Look at this torture. This is mentally torture. But this kind of government are now suffering from the far right, spreading all around their countries. This is a very important thing. And Israel is like a metastasis, is like a cancer cell for the world right now. So we believe that the support for Israel is not lasting, and no longer lasting. Believe me, even in the United States, the support is reducing, and the people and the quantity of the supporters is reducing. For example, remember the Mr. Netanyahu in the Congress, House of Representatives, and he has his speech. The Democrat I mean, exit the hall, just only I mean, Republican applause. This. It means that the cleavage is being shaped in all countries and states in the public, and I believe that it no longer, maybe more than 1 or 2 years, we can see that the support for the Israel and the anti-Semitism rules and regulations will be changed, because the people can see the truth. And right now, Iran and the Muslim country like Pakistan and the supporting Iran, for example, and the two-state solution means that we can see the truth, and all the people around the world will join us. Not maybe today, but it takes time. Maybe 1 or 2 years later, even the Christian community right now can be with us. This was a very important night last night. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, of course, with that, I'd like to include Farooq Badafi's comments on the conversation, how it has shaped up so far. And I'd also like to ask you, for when we talk about the United Nations, of course, the Security Council session is underway. There were repeated calls in the General Assembly session as well. We also saw that the ICJ had issued a verdict against Israel. But even through all of this, we've seen that Israel has been ignoring all these international calls, all these international norms, and all what has happening at the international stage. With regards to that, when we